Hi guys, this is City Echoes and welcome to my channel, and today we are visiting Alexandra Palace, which is behind me.
Welcome to Alexandra Palace, better known as Ali Pali. In this video, we'll explore its beautiful boating lake and historic park, discover how this became the birthplace of the world's first regular BBC television service, uncover the stories behind its two devastating fires, and reveal why this iconic London landmark continues to attract millions of visitors today. Let's begin.
So guys, this is Alexandra Palace, as you can see behind me.
Standing high above North London, Alexandra Palace is one of Britain's most remarkable historic landmarks. Affectionately known as the People's Palace, it was built to provide education, entertainment, recreation, and culture for everyone, regardless of wealth or social background. Following the success of London's Great Exhibition of 1851 and the creation of nearby parks for public enjoyment, plans were made to build a grand palace that ordinary people could easily reach by train. Construction began in the late 1860s, and the magnificent Victorian building officially opened to the public on 24 May 1873. However, celebration quickly turned to disaster. Just 16 days after opening, a devastating fire swept through the palace, destroying much of the building. Rather than abandoning the project, the owners immediately began rebuilding. The palace was reconstructed using improved fire-resistant designs and reopened in May 1875, even larger and more impressive than before. This determination to rebuild reflected the importance of Alexandra Palace as a public institution and secured its place in London's history. Over the following decades, Alexandra Palace became one of the capital's premier entertainment venues. It hosted exhibitions, concerts, sporting events, political meetings, flower shows, circuses, military displays, and public celebrations. The surrounding parkland also became a popular destination, offering beautiful gardens, open spaces, boating, and spectacular panoramic views across London's skyline. Alexandra Palace achieved worldwide significance in 1936, when it became the birthplace of the world's first regular high-definition public television service. From specially designed studios inside the palace, the BBC began broadcasting television programs to homes across London. These pioneering broadcasts marked the beginning of modern television and transformed the way people received news, entertainment, and information. Today, the restored BBC studios remain one of the palace's most important historical attractions. During the Second World War, Alexandra Palace once again served the nation in a completely different way. The building was requisitioned for military purposes, while parts of the site housed civilian internees and prisoners of war. Broadcasting operations also supported Britain's wartime communications, making the palace an important strategic location during one of the country's most challenging periods. After the war, Alexandra Palace returned to public life, welcoming generations of visitors to concerts, exhibitions, sporting events, and community celebrations. But tragedy struck once again in 1980, when a second major fire caused extensive damage to large sections of the historic building, including the famous Great Hall. Once again, Alexandra Palace demonstrated its resilience. Extensive restoration work was carried out over many years, preserving its magnificent Victorian architecture while modernizing facilities for future generations. Today, more than 150 years after it first opened, Alexandra Palace continues to thrive as one of London's most treasured heritage sites. Visitors come to explore the historic BBC television studios, admire the beautifully restored Great Hall and Victorian Theatre, enjoy the ice rink, boating lake, concerts, festivals, exhibitions, cafes, and 196 acres of parkland. Whether admired for its architecture, its pioneering role in broadcasting, its resilience through 2 devastating fires, or its breathtaking views over the capital, Alexandra Palace remains true to its original vision, a place where history, innovation, culture, and community come together for everyone. It is not only a symbol of Victorian ambition, but also a living reminder of London's ability to rebuild, reinvent itself, and continue inspiring future generations. Just outside the gates of Alexandra Palace Park, the surrounding streets lead into the residential neighborhoods of Muswell Hill, Wood Green, and nearby Hornsey, with local cafes, shops, and everyday London life surrounding this historic green space. So, we've arrived at the entrance to Alexandra Palace Park. From here, we're going to head inside, take a walk through the grounds, and discover some of the places and views that make this park such a special part of North London. Let's go in and have a look. Surrounding Alexandra Palace is one of North London's most distinctive green spaces, Alexandra Park, a landscape that has been part of this historic site for more than 150 years. The park was created during the Victorian era as part of the wider vision for Alexandra Palace, a great public destination where people could escape the increasingly crowded streets of London and enjoy recreation, entertainment, and open countryside. Covering almost 200 acres, the park stretches across rolling hills, open grassland, and wooded areas. Its elevated position is one of its defining features. From several points across the grounds, visitors can look south towards the London skyline, with landmarks from central London visible in the distance on a clear day. The landscape itself was designed by Alexander Mackenzie, a prominent 19th century landscape designer who had also worked on major public parks in Britain. His design made use of the natural slopes of the land, creating broad open spaces, tree-lined areas, and sweeping views around the palace. Over the decades, Alexandra Park has served many different purposes. It has hosted public celebrations, sporting events, exhibitions, festivals, and large gatherings, while also remaining an important place for everyday recreation. Today, the park combines its Victorian heritage with the character of a modern London public space. Walkers, runners, families, and visitors share the grounds, while mature trees and extensive grassland provide valuable habitats for wildlife. And perhaps what makes this landscape particularly special is the contrast. Standing within acres of open green land, it can feel surprisingly removed from the city. Yet London remains clearly visible on the horizon. More than a century and a half after it was created, Alexandra Park continues to fulfill much the same purpose envisioned by the Victorians, a place where Londoners can step away from the surrounding streets and enjoy space, landscape, and some of the finest elevated views across the capital. As we make our way through Alexandra Park, we arrive at one of its most peaceful and picturesque features, the boating lake. Surrounded by mature trees and open parkland, the lake offers a very different atmosphere from the imposing Alexandra Palace standing higher up on the hill. Here, the pace becomes slower, the surroundings quieter, and it is easy to forget that we are still in North London. The lake has long formed part of the recreational character of Alexandra Park. Over the years, generations of families have come here to enjoy the water, the wildlife, and the open green space. Today, visitors can still take boats out onto the lake during operating periods, continuing a simple tradition of outdoor recreation that has been associated with public parks for generations. But you don't necessarily need to get onto the water to appreciate this place. Walking around the lake gives you a chance to enjoy the changing views, watch the birds and other wildlife, or simply find a quiet spot and take in the surroundings. What makes the lake particularly attractive is the contrast it creates with Alexandra Palace itself. The palace represents the grand Victorian ambition of the 19th century, a vast building created for entertainment, exhibitions, and public events. While down here, the lake represents the quieter side of the same idea, providing Londoners with somewhere to escape the crowded city and enjoy leisure in the open air. And that combination remains part of Alexandra's. There is an interesting connection between Alexandra Palace and another famous London landmark, the Crystal Palace. In many ways, these two great Victorian buildings shared remarkably similar stories. The Crystal Palace began life as the spectacular glass building created for the Great Exhibition of 1851 in Hyde Park. After the exhibition, it was reconstructed at Sydenham in South London, becoming a huge center for entertainment, exhibitions, and public recreation. Its success helped inspire the idea of creating something similar for North London, a grand people's palace where ordinary Londoners could enjoy culture, education, and entertainment. That vision eventually became Alexandra Palace, opening in 1873. But here, the similarities become almost eerie. Just 16 days after Alexandra Palace first opened, a devastating fire swept through the building, destroying much of it. It was rebuilt and reopened in 1875. Crystal Palace would ultimately suffer an even more dramatic fate. On the night of 30th November 1936, a huge fire engulfed the building, illuminating the London sky as thousands watched. Unlike Alexandra Palace, however, Crystal Palace was never rebuilt. And remarkably, Alexandra Palace faced fire once again in 1980, when another major blaze destroyed large sections of the building. So these two Victorian people's palaces shared not only a similar ambition, but also a similar enemy: fire. One disappeared forever, while the other survived, leaving. Alexandra Palace was not the only great people's palace created for London. Across the city in Mile End, another remarkable building carried the name, quite literally, the People's Palace. Alexandra Palace opened in North London in 1873 as a place of entertainment, recreation, and education for ordinary people. Then, in 1887, the People's Palace opened in Mile End, bringing a similar spirit of culture, learning, and entertainment to the communities of East London. In Victorian London, these grand buildings represented an ambitious idea. Culture and education should not belong only to the wealthy. Alexandra Palace served the north, while the People's Palace served the East End, just as Crystal Palace had become a great attraction in the south. And remarkably, the two palaces shared another fate: fire. Alexandra Palace was devastated shortly after opening in 1873 and suffered another major fire in 1980. While the original People's Palace in Mile End was destroyed by fire in 1931 and later rebuilt. Different parts of London, different buildings, but the same Victorian dream: a palace built for the people. And with that, we leave Alexandra Palace behind, a remarkable landmark where history, culture, and the spirit of London continue to live on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next journey.